All right, you guys, all right, good evening. This is April 8th, 2013, Rhinebeck Town Board meeting. We'll start with the pledge, first of all.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You mean they took my money for the cookies and never came back?
You don't have your cookies, do you? All right, for announcements, the item one is the LWRP protocol meeting will be held at Town Hall on Wednesday, April 10th at 7 p.m. April 12th at 7 p.m., the Village Rhinebeck Board will have a public hearing on their budget. That'll be at, this says Town Hall, however, the Village of Rhinebeck budget public hearing will be held at Town Hall. Okay, so here, right here, you'll have the public hearing for the village budget. That'll be on the 12th at 7 p.m. Summer rec signups will be held at Town Hall on Saturday, April 12th, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. So April 12th, Saturday at 9 a.m. Everybody stand behind me because I'm coming in first to sign up for summer rec.
20th.
20th, right?
20th, yeah. We'll have another day for
we'll be
the
way
really
ahead
large
of
families.
So anyways, there's information on the website about that. The brochures on the website and so on. So that's April 20th, 9 a.m. Open book days at Town Hall on which the assessments are available to meet with the property owners to answer questions about their property assessments will be held as follows. May 6th, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. On the 7th, May 7th, noon till 4 p.m. May 9th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and also May 11th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's open books day here for your assessments at Town Hall. Grievance day will be held on the 28th. The times have not been determined. There is a burn ban now in effect through May 14th. No burning is allowed beginning May 15th. Small brush fires are permitted. For further information, call the DEC website or see the DEC website at www.dec.ny.gov. The Town of Rhinebeck Highway Department is hosting a Household Hazardous Electronic Waste Disposal Day on Saturday, June 1st, 2013. Registration and payments are required before June 1st. Contact the Dutchess County Resource Recovery Agency, 463-6020, 463-6020. The Rhinebeck Town Board will receive sealed bids for the following two items until noon, April 18th. We're selling a lawnmower, which is a Gravely tractor, 48-inch Gravely lawnmower, 26 horsepower motor, so on, 6 years old. Well, call up to find out what it is. Anyways, the other item is, what else is there?
Tom, can I interrupt you for a second? On this one, I don't know where this April 18th date came, but it seems to me it's just too short that if we decide tonight, and if this stuff is worth anything, we really should give the public a longer opportunity to actually look at it.
This was voted on a long time ago. The ad was placed a while ago. The announcement is just being made tonight.
Oh, okay.
You're not voting on this.
We don't have any...
You're not voting on this. It's just an announcement.
Okay, so we don't have any discretion to change that.
The ad was posted 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Okay. Let me go through the two items. One is a Gravely lawn tractor. It's a 48-inch lawn tractor, 26 horsepower mower. And the other is a 6-year-old, 330-gallon above-the-ground heating oil tank. You can call Town Hall at 876-3409. All bids are received pursuant to this notice will be publicly opened and read at by the town clerk on April 18th at 12:15 p.m. All right. And that serves that. There's also, just so you know, kind of recently, the county clerk will be coming to Upstate Films for, he's going to have a forum for let me get this opened up here. The State of the County address. It is State of the County highlights. So they'll be hosted by the county executive and they look back on the work of the county government over the past year and the success, what is ahead. Be a part of the conversation about the goals and objectives of the Dutchess County government and share your questions and input. So that's going to be here at Upstate Films on Monday the 15th at 6 p.m. Public is welcome. I guess you just received the notice, John, today, I think, or yesterday. So if you have any questions, you can call the town clerk's office, 876-3409. That is next Monday, the 15th at 6 p.m. at Upstate Films. We should have town board meetings there, too.
For everyone who was upset about the reduction in our sales tax, this is a very good opportunity to speak to Marcus Molinaro about that.
We have we're getting the other one for you.
Oh, yeah. Got one more announcement, I'm sorry. We have the assessor's office will have hours open until 1 p.m. from April 22nd till May 3rd. That is from 9 till 1 p.m.
Yeah, it's a change in hours
Change in
just for that
hours.
time period.
Personnel issue, okay. From April 22nd to May 3rd.
We'll have it posted on our website as
Right,
well.
okay, great. Any further announcements? A lot of announcements. We have several items of discussion, but we're going to change the order because we have some officials and experts here that we want to address with our concerning issue for the a zoning issue involving section 123-61. It pertains to our green building standards and LEED standards. So we're going to start with this because we have some people waiting here about these issues, and we don't want to have to, lose anybody on that before we get to that point. So I think Mike Trimble is our chairman of our planning board, and we have Art Broad, our planner for the town, and there's been some concern over the update of our employees about how to address the enforcement and follow through of these standards through our new implemented law. So, Michael, do you have any comments on this?
Right, and Christian is here also, and he may have some comments.
Our zoning enforcement officer. Basically what it is, it's at section 125, I think, -61, green building standards.
123-61 we have. 125 is the,
Isn't it 125?
Yeah, it's 12561.
12561.
oh,
Yeah, that's the zoning law.
Okay.
Basically, what it is, it's requiring LEED standards be applied to basically any permitting actions taken by either the planning board or the building department for building permits. And unfortunately, none of us knew this was in here. When it was first put into the law back in 2009, there was sort of a grace period. And after 3 years, it becomes mandatory. And the 3-year thing was passed up this past January. So now it's mandatory that for any special permit, site plan, building permit issued, including for single-family residences, they have to meet LEED standards. In a nutshell, the problem we have is we don't know what those are. We weren't aware of this, and we're not prepared to properly administer it. But since it's required by the law, quite right at the moment, it's basically holding up anyone who wants a building permit for something in the town, and any new people coming in before the planning board needing site plan approval. It's going to hold that up too, because we're not prepared yet to administer this. We don't have the facts, things of that sort. So what we would like to ask the town board to do is to institute a moratorium on this portion of our zoning law for 1 year to give us time to look into this, to see exactly what is entailed, how we might do this. Given our law, we are allowed to set up our own local version of these LEED standards, and the planning board is authorized to do that. But the planning board has no idea what it's doing with that. So we really need time to look into this. LEED is a wonderful idea. It's the objectives are excellent. I think it's something we want to work towards, but we have to know how to do it before we can subject residents to this sort of thing. We're just not prepared to do it right now, and I think a moratorium is probably the cleanest way to deal with this and give us a chance to really properly prepare ourselves to administer this.
Does that mean, Michael, that any building permits that come in that year of moratorium don't have to follow the lead?
Correct. It would set this aside for 1 year. Frankly, many of the things we already have in our zoning law, I think, do a pretty good job of overseeing what people are doing from a site plan special permit standpoint. In the building department, it's probably a little different. It's the New York State Fire and Building Code, which basically governs what goes on there. I think LEED's a great idea, you know, preserve resources, use recycled materials, all sorts of things in there. And it's the thinking behind it is very, very good, and it's something you do want to work towards. But in order to do it effectively, you have to know what it is, know how to do it. And probably the biggest problem we have is going to be getting the word out that you have to do it. You don't want an architect to design someone's house, then come to the building inspector and saying, I want a building permit. Well, you have to do LEED. You go back, you have to redesign the whole house to incorporate these factors into that design. It can be excruciatingly expensive. So it's not just us knowing how to administer it. We've got to get the word out to the different people, engineers, architects, things like that, that yes, you're going to have to do this. Prepare in advance to do it. Maybe even set up some pre-submission policy for people getting building permits. Come in and talk to the building inspector first or the zoning enforcement officer so they can take you through the process so you know what you have to do. Right now, we're just not prepared to do this.
Yeah, there's more than just LEED involved. There's also the alternative or option to go with New York State Energy, Star Energy Program.
Yeah.
So that's it. It's just a confusion. I know that during the zoning and comprehensive planning progress that we've had a lot of discussion over. I forget what the details were, but there is a lot of confusion now. We've got to figure this out. There are some outstanding smaller projects that are waiting to move forward, and this is an
Yeah.
obstacle for us all. So Mr. Trimble said that we want to consider a one-year moratorium. However, we can ultimately end that before the one-year
Yes.
period of time. So not to be confused that this is going to be strictly a one-year moratorium. We hopefully will deal with this quickly.
As soon as we can get it sorted out so we can administer it, we end the moratorium and then we're good to go.
Right.
That just makes sure that we don't, if it takes a little longer than, say, 6 months, we don't have to come back to the town board and say, could you extend the moratorium?
Yeah, we don't want to do it too short because we don't want to be in that situation.
Right.
But we want to get this done quickly.
It's easier to stop the moratorium and then get on with
Right.
business than have to keep renewing it.
Right.
Well, when we did the comprehensive plan, we renewed the moratorium year after year after year. We did it multiple times.
We did indeed.
And I'm concerned that this is, we didn't know about it, and I don't know where the year comes from. And so I'd prefer to have a shorter moratorium and go through the agony of renewing it if
Well,
we
it-
need to.
I think the reason we thought a year was a good idea is we don't know exactly what's going to be entailed in putting this together and training people to do it. I mean, being LEED certified, which may be required of some of our employees, I don't know what's entailed, the expense entailed, the training entailed, things like that. I assume there's a good deal to it.
I appreciate that, but I don't want to get to the end of a year and find out that we hadn't done anything on it because we had a year to get going on it.
Well, we wouldn't allow that to happen.
Well, we did already,
It sounds like we missed the boat on preparing people over the last 3 years.
I think that from the discussions I've had with people, no one knew this was in here as a requirement. We all had assumed it was going to be put in as guidelines. And then all of a sudden, it turned out, oops, nope, not guidelines.
Do you have any idea about how many LEED certified architects there are in New York State? I tried to find that and I couldn't really find it easily. Is that a burden on people to be able to find a LEED certified architect, or can a regular architect build to LEED certification?
Step right up, please.
And Christian, this was a good catch by you to figure out that this was in conflict with new permits that were coming before you.
Right. The LEED certified architect is just an added point into the laundry list that comes with the LEED certification. Depending on the rating, the number of points change. Having a LEED certified architect adds a point easily for a project. So, but it's not required.
Okay.
On the other end, you need to have what's called a green rater, and there are people that have been licensed by NYSERDA or the U.S. Green Building Council to review the applications and represent the project in front of the U.S. Green Building Council, who ultimately delivers the rating. So,
How many
that
of
answer your
those
question?
are in this area? Do we,
In this area, I'm not sure how many. I don't think it's a majority of architects. I'm certified, certainly, so I think that's an asset for the town.
right, but you would have a conflict.
But 20%.
I did find that there were almost 1,300 LEED buildings built in New York State. So
Yeah.
some people have figured out how to do it. And I think it's really a great thing for our town if we can figure out how to get the public aware of it, maybe catch them at the very initial start, maybe even when they buy land to build, have them part of the process that they're told that we are a LEED community.
Well, I think that the idea that we have the way we have to look at it is to agree to a certain level of green, for lack of a better word. LEED is just one organization in the US who has like a certification process. I looked at various communities. The West Coast is a little more advanced on that, and cities and towns in the western U.S. have developed their own lists of requirements, which allows a project to move faster, be a little less expensive because you don't have to go through the certification with the U.S. Green Building Council, and at the same time attain most of the green aspects that are beneficial to the owners, to the environment, to the climate, etc. So I would recommend to try to develop a system that we're comfortable with the community, with the builders, with the suppliers, educate the people that are part of the industry and come to some model that is good that we think is good for Rhinebeck. I'm not sure that being LEED certified should be a requirement. I guess that's what
Michael, with respect to this proposed moratorium, I think there are different deadlines for commercial buildings and for residential buildings. Would the moratorium apply to commercial buildings
Yes, it
also?
would. But the 3-year thing was the final deadline for everyone is now required to be LEED certified, residential and commercial. And 6 months, for more, that's fine. We need to do something because we do have a number of projects. There's people trying to get building permits now to do a single-family home on a lot of record, and they have, by law, now have to go through this process before they can get a building permit.
Isn't there anything we can do to speed this up so that we can be, what can we do to speed this process up so that it doesn't take us a year to get up to speed?
Well,
Can we
I think
do
the
it
first thing we have to do is have a moratorium of some period so that at least we can continue the projects now, so we don't, because right now by law, we can't do much of anything. And so.
Should we consider a moratorium on building?
No, I think it's a moratorium on the LEED. I genuinely believe we don't want to stop building in the town of Rhinebeck. I don't think that's necessary at this point. I think very, very often what we can do is when we work with the people coming before us now, we can make suggestions. If it's a special permit situation, you can put conditions on it. There are all sorts of things you can do. And most homeowners today, I think, if they're building a new house, they want it to be as energy efficient as they possibly can because it's going to save them money down the road. But if we put a moratorium on building right now, I think that would be counterproductive for the community. I don't think that's necessary, and I really don't think it's desirable.
How many people would it affect right now? How many building permits do we have outstanding right now?
believe that right now we have we have one building permit. I know there's projects that are in the pipes that haven't come to us yet. At least 2 that are decent size. If I just want to answer to Elizabeth, I think that I agree with Bruce. I think we need to have deadlines. If we don't meet them, then we can always move them back. But I think it's good to get a deadline so that we can at least try to achieve it and move forward. Otherwise, because, you always work toward the end, you tend to procrastinate, and then if you have a year deadline, then you don't do anything.
Is there a chance that a moratorium would lead to, I can't imagine, but a mad rush of people trying to get in without having to hold to LEED standards? Is that something we need to be concerned about?
I don't think so. I mean, I can't imagine that. We have a number of big projects coming up now that are before the planning board. Some have had the application be actually accepted and we're moving forward, and some we anticipate in the next couple of months.
Have they been told that this is in,
They're being told, yeah.
Yeah, the word is out in the community. I get phone calls about this, and I try to inform people. But I think that these bigger projects are the projects that we want to make sure that we have an impact, or have less of an impact on, energy consumption, whatever. I mean, all these issues. So we want to be pretty efficient in looking into that. So.
okay. Art, do you have any thoughts on this? I've never known you not to have a thought.
I wasn't involved in the discussion of this particular item. I'm obviously here for the core group situation, but I have a thought just in listening to this, and it's really a question, probably a question for council, and it responds to Bruce's concern too. Moratoriums do have a tendency to get rolled down the road. We know that happens all over. Would it be that much more difficult, and would it take that much more time to amend the zoning law to change the effective date of this particular provision to something not that far down the road, September 1st, or something of that sort? And that would essentially give those who need to get together and develop whatever that program is going to be a short period of time to do it, and a definite date by which the program has to be in place. Not in the spirit of a moratorium where we automatically think about, well, if we don't get it done, then we'll just roll the moratorium forward. That's just a thought.
I don't know, it seems to me it's the same thing whether you change the effective date or you do a moratorium. But it sounds like there are a number of possibilities here. One is to forget about leads totally. Two is keep leads and maybe develop our own code that would be an alternative to leads. Three is just go with leads and better understand leads and do an outreach program. I don't know which is the best. Michael, how should we proceed in trying to get a handle on it? What process would we use?
I think what Christian was trying to set up was a sort of a workshop with some lead raters, as well as architects like Christian, things like that, to explain what the process is, what they do, what the requirements are, what a planning board is required to do to properly implement this, what the building inspector is required to do when giving building permits, what he's supposed to look at. That would be a place to start.
And as part of that, consider whether we should have an alternative code provisions for leads.
I think that the way that the building permitting process goes through right now is not coherent with the way that the LEED system, the LEED certification happens. What I mean by that is that you get certified after the house or the building has been in use for some time. And you can't get a building permit or a certificate of occupancy, and you can't get the certification for LEED at the same time as you get the certificate of occupancy. The LEED certification has to happen after a certain period of use of the building. So if you're required to be LEED certified, you can't match
So then maybe
that.
just follow LEED standards.
That's
that would lead to the certificate.
Exactly.
My
Exactly.
understanding is you submit a checklist before the building is built, and they will tell you whether, if it is built in conformity with that, it will meet LEED standards.
Right, but for example, there's like there's points. I don't want to go into too much of detail, but the air quality is part of the points that you can acquire, and that has to be tested once the building is built. Now, if people can't move in their building because they don't get their certificate of occupancy before they get the LEED certification, then we end up with an empty building for months, and that's not possible, right?
Or practical.
Or
Gotcha,
practical.
right.
Yeah, I always read it as designed to meet LEED certification.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what designed to meet the same standards or designed to meet standards comparable to that.
How can we reach out to is there a website or a communication list, a listserv of New York State architects so we can post this to them? What you need to
Absolutely.
know to build in Rhinebeck? This is what you need to know?
Yeah,
And it
we
could go
have-
out to builders as well as architects?
Hudson Valley U.S. Green Building Council has a chapter which is in New Paltz, and there's a meeting that is coming within a couple weeks. So I'll be going there and try to see if there is, things that we can share.
Well, if you find things also that you need to attend to help you implement aspects of this,
Right.
You should let us know, and I think we would all support that, it seems to me, to get you up and running.
Does our code enforcement officer also need to
Yeah,
be?
Ed should probably.
No, we don't need to be certified. There's no need to be.
No,
I'm
but
sorry.
you need to, sorry?
Yes?
I was going to say no, but I would assume that our building inspector, code enforcement officer needs to understand what he's inspecting.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
He's aware of these issues. Indeed, when I met with Christian, he was.
Yeah,
But it sounds to me we got, one, decide whether we want a moratorium, and two.
I would
how-
agree to a
and-
short
and-
moratorium.
And two, how long?
One more alternative.
Great.
Sorry, Joe. We were just reading the code over here. It says you can have an exemption for whether, if it's a hardship or if it's infeasible. And the third exemption under the first group is the compatibility of the green building requirements with the existing building standards. So that sounds like the bridge
There-
that we have to go through. And what it says is you'd have to bring the request for the exemption to the town board, and then it gets blessed that way.
Yeah, and the code says that you have to comply with LEED standards or the green building standards.
Right.
Which is another standard that doesn't require certification and all this stuff.
Right.
So that's also a way to go. We could say, well, forget about LEED and we'll just go with the national green building standards.
But Bruce, from what you read, it sounded that the town board can exempt something if a specific thing comes to town.
That's what the code says.
So it sounds like we can.
Let me just finish the sentence, please. So, does the town board want to look at each building permit to decide?
It would allow us not to put a moratorium on and press forward with this in a timely manner and look at each individual case. It sounds like it's something we could consider.
If we do put a moratorium, we could approve the 2 or 3 things that come up or not.
We would not put we would forget about a moratorium. We would hold to this, work towards coming to an understanding, and have people come before us to ask for exemptions. It sounds like we do have some loopholes or
Accommodations.
yeah.
I would look closely at those exemptions. I believe they're probably based upon us understanding the LEED system, being prepared to administer it, and then someone comes before us saying, let's say they have a historic building that they're
Historic buildings are
restoring,
exempt,
and
yeah.
they can't meet exactly. It's not a matter of us being unable or ill-equipped to function with
But
this.
right now, we are.
Yes, we are, but I don't think that's what those exemptions address. I really
I
don't.
know, but we could,
Seems to me it would create just a lot of uncertainty to bring every building application before the town board.
Well, is the green standard not lesser, but is it an easier one for people to meet? Or we just don't know?
we're not ready for it anyway.
No. The problem is, even for things before the planning board, there are things called site sustainability, atmosphere, and I mean, I don't even know what they mean, and our law doesn't define any of this, and we don't have any resources telling it what it is. So the planning board is not prepared
How will
to
you
move
learn
forward
about
with
it,
these.
Michael?
Well, we'll have to get the information, I guess, from the lead counsel. We'll have to try and get whatever materials we can get to look and find out what these things actually mean and how they might fit into our zoning law. But at the present time, our zoning law requires that these things be LEED certified before we can have a special permit or site plan approved before a building permit can be issued. And I really don't think that exemption thing applies to this case. I think that's assuming we know what we're doing and a building just isn't going to make it with a project and it's a worthy project, so you want it to go forward anyway.
Warren, do you have an opinion about that? Whether or not we could use this?
Yeah, I think the exemption process is too complex, and it would be difficult for the town board to administer. I think my recommendation, based on what I've heard, would be to go with a moratorium, but keep it a short moratorium, keep a rein on it, because I agree with Bruce.
Do you mind just speaking into the mic so everyone listening can hear? I'm sorry.
I think the exemption process would be too complex and cumbersome, and it's not at all clear what the standards would be for exempting individual property owners. So my suggestion would be to go with a moratorium. I don't like the idea of changing the time frame in the local law because a moratorium is exempt from seeker, but whereas an amendment to the local law would not, so we'd have to go through some sort of seeker process. So, but keep it as a short time frame, because I agree with Bruce that if you keep it as a year, you may find yourself
You're going into 2
coming up
years,
on the year and nothing's been done. If you have a shorter time frame, then usually the boards are inspired to try to do something and get it done. And if you have to extend the moratorium another time, that's not the end of the world either. So I had prepared a draft moratorium for you, but I put a year in there. You might want to consider shortening that period to 6 months, or I think 6 months would probably be reasonable.
Could we get away with 90 days or?
You can get away with 90 days, but I'm not sure how much you're going to accomplish in 90 days. It sounds like you've got a fair amount of work to do. I'd prefer if you courts look, they want to see you set a realistic date when you set your moratorium time period. Not too long, not too short. So, maybe 4 months or 6 months, but not.
Can we have a moratorium for 6 months on residential buildings, but not commercial buildings?
I think
that
then you're going to get
prejudicial,
into an
or-
issue of whether discrimination, whether there's a rational basis for doing that, and I prefer not. Then you may have somebody challenging the moratorium law. I prefer not to have that, deal with that.
So Christian, Art, and Michael, would you all support a 6-month moratorium? Do you think that's a reasonable thing to?
It's a good start, yeah. We need to do some. I don't think that we need that whole.
Okay, so we can make it shorter if we find out that we don't need the whole
I think
6
90
months.
days.
Oh, no, I think you're underestimating the project.
The 6 months from what had been, what would that be?
Yeah, because that's what you're changing. That would actually be a three-month moratorium.
Oh, 3 months. I mean, from January, I got you.
Oh, so a 6-month moratorium is a 3-month moratorium?
In effect, since it started in January.
If you do it from the effective date of January.
Established effective date.
I would do 6 months from now.
I'd like to hear Christian's recommendation.
I just want to make one other point. Assuming we are not going to use exactly what's in the zoning law now, and we're going to amend the zoning law, you're going to probably want the moratorium to hold until that zoning law amendment is in place, and that itself is going to take a couple months probably to amend the zoning law to reflect whatever changes we make in this lead process. Unless we decide we're just going to go right ahead with it as written, and then, of course, you won't have to amend the zoning law.
We're going to need a hearing date for that, and then an adoption date.
You're going to need to
so
do
it's gonna be a
seeker, you're going to
while.
need to go through the whole
You're right.
zoning amendment process, and that's going to...
Who's going to shepherd this? Who's taking the lead on this?
I think he raised his hand.
We like
Could you-
volunteers.
Talk to us about a reasonable schedule and how you'd go about it?
Yeah, next board meeting.
Next board meeting?
Yeah, could you give us a reasonable schedule then?
can we table that until then and hear your schedule as aggressive as you can make it? I am concerned about this lingering.
Well, what are we going to do in the next couple of weeks with building applications? We just going to sit there and tell people they got to comply with leads, or, you know,
We
you
tell
got
them-
you got
Nothing-
something on the books now.
Nothing's been changed.
They can't comply with leads because we're not equipped to
Yeah,
do it. They
it's-
can't. That's a
They haven't
fact.
been able to all year long.
It's business
And we
as
didn't know
usual.
about it till then, and if someone were to challenge any of the permits given on that basis, they could probably have a very good legal case.
And we're in the same boat.
Well, let's not continue it, because now it's on Panda, it's now in the public view, so I think a responsible response to that is saying, we recognize a problem, we're going to address it, we're not just going to pretend we don't have it and hope no one knows and no one's watching any of these
Nobody's saying
presentations.
that. But what we're saying is, if we introduce a moratorium now, all we're doing is introducing it. We're not voting on it. It's got to
That's
go to
correct.
hearing and everything else.
So we might as well start the process sooner rather than later, because it's going to take some time.
But we want the schedule before we vote on it.
Whatever the schedule is, it's not going to happen in 3 months. You know, it's just wishful thinking.
Well, you don't know that. Christian may have another recommendation. He may have an idea that we, as non-lead certified non-architects, don't know about.
I think the other thing to keep in mind, the planning board members and the ZBA members are also going to have to understand this process and how it
I
works.
understand, I'm just trying to take an
Yeah.
aggressive
Well,
standpoint
I
for
think
the
that
public.
Joe's correct, you should at least introduce the moratorium tonight. You're not going to vote on it, you're going to have a public hearing when the information will be brought to you. The longer you put this off, the longer things in
Okay,
Rhinebeck are at a
so we can address
standstill.
it and wait for
Thank you, Michael.
your recommendations at the next meeting and vote on it. Is that what we're?
Well, we're going to approve or move towards a hearing date for this, and that would be the 22nd of April, our next town board meeting.
Right, and let's
And
change
if- and if-
1 year to
but let-
6 months from the adoption of the moratorium.
But let's make sure that an effective 6-month moratorium would end October 22nd. If you move backwards, we're talking about a hearing and so on, so is that enough time, 6 months? Is that reasonable still?
Well, let him think about it. He's going to come back anyway with a schedule, which I would certainly like to see.
Well, we're going to approve a resolution for a 6-month moratorium then, at this point in time.
I think that the problem that we have right now, though, is that we have to know what we're doing with these
Right,
permits.
right.
And I think that it's not fair, and that's the way I would look at it, is that it's not fair for these people who already have these drawings done, that they would be expected to have, looked at the code, basically, which is unfortunate, but that's the reality. And so, what I would say is, like, I don't know if we can do that, but
You okay with the 6-month moratorium? Is that?
yeah, I'm okay with that,
Okay.
and I would give them building permits. We don't have huge projects.
Okay.
We just did that with a house that was 6,000 square feet, because we had to. The application that was before December 31st, and we found a way to legally do that, right? So I don't think that we should, hold the people who really are ready to get a building permit, I guess.
So I
do
make
you
a
have,
motion.
Well, we need a local law. What number are we on, John, for laws for 2013? Do you know?
It doesn't matter. We
Okay.
can fill that in later.
Okay,
But
so,
all we're doing is setting a public hearing
yeah.
on a local law for a 6-month moratorium. So I make a motion that we...
Are we saying a 6-month moratorium or a moratorium to be decided once we see the schedule?
6 months.
I think you need the advertisement to be specific. You can always change the 6 months to 3 months, or you could give Christian 10 days to do it.
And we can always shorten it if we find
Right.
that they're moving faster.
But the motion is that we advertise for a public hearing in 2 weeks at our next board meeting on a local law to implement a moratorium for 6 months. That's what the advertisement would say. Is that correct, Warren?
Yeah, just so you're aware, this is technically a zoning amendment, so we do have to do a 239M referral to county planning. I'm sure they could expedite that to us. They're going to find it's a matter of local concern, but it does have to go to the planning board too. And that could hold up things because I was told you don't have a meeting till May, but you might as well move forward with the process. You may not be able to vote on it until the planning board has weighed in, which I'm sure.
This is our local planning board.
Our local and the county, because it's a zoning amendment.
Could you guys call a special meeting?
We've already met for the month, and so I'm not empowered to do
Okay.
that on my own.
No, but if necessary, you have a provision where you could have an emergency meeting.
Yeah, but the board as a whole has to call.
Do you need me to read this out, Warren, or do you need me to read this whole thing, or? Okay, so, all right, so we have a motion from Joe, and we need a second to
Second.
to hold a public hearing on the, a 6-month moratorium that will be heard on the 22nd of April. And the moratorium pertains to the implementation of provision 125-61. It in no way pertains to a moratorium on building itself, so it's just the implementation of the law. So, motion by Joe, second by Bruce, and need a roll call? And all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? It's so moved.
Thank you.
Good night.
Touch base with John, and we'll get the public hearing notice together.
Okay, great.
Thank
And
you.
then John can
Good night.
refer this to county planning.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Christian.
Thanks.
Michael.
Right, so starting with items for discussion is a Time Warner contract. Who's that?
No, we're,
Where are you at?
You want the business
Oh,
items?
sorry about that, I'm on the wrong
should we do
page.
business items first before
Wait a minute, wait a
liaison
minute. No, I'm on the wrong page.
You got Art and
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably
All
do
right, motion
that.
and second to approve the March 11th, 2013 minutes.
motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, that is so moved. Items for presentation, we have the Planning Board Chairman, Michael Trimblestiel here, and the Zoning Enforcement Officer, Christian Fekete. We already did that stuff, so
Yes.
forget that one. Okay. Liaison reports, we have, Gina has a,
Should we skip to 5 on business for?
we're good, we're gonna do this, right? Quickly?
This is quick. The cemetery committee needs volunteers to help plant 9 trees, 7 shade trees and 2 flowering trees on Saturday, April 20th. They want to start at 9 o'clock. They would love to have 12 volunteers to spread the work and get it finished quickly. It should be fun. They know what they're doing.
And you don't have to dig, I think. They have an auger that'll dig the holes
Yeah.
for it, right? And how many trees are there?
7 shade trees and 2 flowering.
Awesome, so, wonderful. The 20th.
That's at the cemetery on Saturday, April 20th.
You guys are here for something else? Okay. Let's get right to that then. Which item is that?
Tab 6,
This is,
item 5.
A resolution introducing proposed local law for 2013, an amendment of the Town Code, Chapter 125, zoning. Okay, this is in relation to core group? Okay. All right. Art.
You have before you a proposed resolution and an introductory local law on the rezoning of core groups 7.4 acres to ORP from the RC5 application, and the further addition of special event venue as a special permit use within the ORP district, whether situated on the lands of the core group or at any other location within the ORP district. The matter is before you this evening, following a petition by the applicant, review by the planning board, and review by the Conservation Advisory Board, the reviews of those boards being affirmative, positive reviews, recommending that the town board introduce the proposed local law, schedule the public hearing, and otherwise process in terms of referrals and ultimately seeker determination. In your packet for this evening, there was included the working drafts of the resolution, the local law, public notice, neg deck, et cetera, that I had prepared. Those matters were since reviewed by John Lyons, Planning Council. The proposed resolution for this evening was handed out separately an hour or so ago. It follows precisely the procedural aspects that were set forth in the draft that I had prepared. John added a couple of introductory paragraphs regarding the consistency of the petition that was submitted with the town rezoning policy, as well as the consistency of the action that the board would be taking procedurally with the recommendations of the CAB and the planning board. The primary attachment to that introductory resolution is, of course, the proposed local law. The proposed local law, as reviewed by John Lyons, is precisely the same as the draft local law that I had provided earlier in the week that was in your packet. So the action for this evening is to consider the introductory resolution. The introductory resolution provides for the scheduling of a public hearing at a time you will have to establish on May 13th. It also provides for referral to county planning as required under general municipal law, notice to the town of Red Hook as required because of the adjacency of the ORP district to the town of Red Hook, and further directs me to prepare on your behalf for your discussion an advisory EAF Part 2 and draft negative declaration. I assure you the draft negative declaration is precisely the document that I've already prepared that's in your packet. So that's the draft negative declaration that would be considered. So that's the spirit of the matter before you this evening.
Thank you.
And it comes to you with full recommendation of the planning board.
And
Thank you, Art.
All right, let me ask you a question. And I really haven't had a chance to study the draft law, but under this draft law, what would be published in the general code is section A, B, C, all those sections, or how does this get codified?
How does it? I believe that Section A deals with the fact that, Section A is the map change, the official town zoning map. There needs to be some drafting done to simply change the zoning classification on the map. B deals with the fact that a special event venue becomes a special permit use subject to site plan review in the ORP district. That would simply be an entry by general code on the district schedule. And then the third part, I believe, is the setting forth within the zoning law of the special standards that need to be met by a special event venue. I believe there are 8 in number, and they would be an additional item within a certain section of the zoning ordinance. And I believe it's interestingly, I think it's paragraph XXX that it becomes in the sequence that
I think
it is.
it's triple E.
Triple E, that's
what
right.
you have. And I understand C is you just amend it and the codifier will do that. I'm puzzled by A as to what the codifier does.
The codifier does nothing with respect to A.
So then, wait. Let me ask.
Sorry, Joe.
Let me try to ask the question. We would publish in the statute book something saying within Article 2, establishment of zoning code, the zoning district classification on parcel map blank located on the west side, blank blank changes? Or?
No. You would modify the official zoning map, which hopefully is present in the town clerk's office. You would modify the official zoning map by showing that particular parcel as being included within the ORP instead of the RC5.
Right.
And then you would provide to General Code a copy of that official zoning map for their reproduction as the amended zoning map.
Yeah, I understand that, but I guess in my 40 years of practice of law, I've only seen statutes or laws that say, this is the new zoning map, this is that, not an instruction to do something as part of the law. But let me talk to John. Did John draft this?
No,
or-
I drafted it, John reviewed it, and I'll one-up you by saying in my 45 years,
Okay.
in my 45 years, I've always seen zoning map amendments dealt with in that particular fashion. That's all I can say.
I could be wrong. It's just puzzling to me why we don't
I
just
understand.
adopt the new map and enact that.
Well, you could add to that, said map as the next tier 2 and have that map available at the time of the.
Right, I would think that's all,
Wait,
that's
wait,
what the
wait.
codifier needs, is to publish a new map.
That could be very, very easily done.
Let me talk. to-
Assuming,
let me talk
John,
to
the official map is on file,
It's part of the zoning code.
part of the zoning?
It's law.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we could do a little, more. We could do, in 5 minutes' time, we could do a markup on the map. The map can be available at the time of the hearing.
Right, and I think that's what we ought to pass, is a new map.
It's not a
I
problem.
I think the confusion here is there's similar, but what you have there is similar if a surveyor goes out and they give you a written description of the property, then they give you a map based on that description. That's what this is. The town board is approving this description, so the person who draws the map puts that into it. That's all that is. The verbiage, there's no verbiage in our zoning code about different lots, their dimensions, things like that. It's strictly depicted pictorially. This is strictly to make sure that the town board knows what it's doing and that it's specifically specifying this lot is changing its zoning district, on the map, please make it correct. That's all that is.
But then don't you need part of this to say that the codifier shall so draw a map to conform to this? But let me talk to John.
Okay, I think that's by convention, that that's just the language that's used so that they understand.
So do you need a hearing date from us or
The,
no?
May 15th?
May
13th?
May 13th, I believe, is what's provided for in the draft. I believe John filled May 13th in after discussion with someone.
So, motion-
The matter of time for that hearing needs to be filled in.
okay.
What's your recommendation? I'm sorry, just, so it would be a 7 o'clock or something?
Yeah. So motion is
Doesn't-
second to approve a May 13th,
Motion?
7 PM
Second.
public hearing for this zoning law. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? That's so moved.
So that's the introduction of you passed the introductory resolution.
For the public hearing.
Right.
Right.
The whole resolution, right. Introductory resolution, introducing the local law and providing for
And you'll be here for that meeting as well? Thank you.
John, are we set with that? You agree with that? That we approve, we only need the one resolution, I think, for the,
And at that
Is
meeting,
the-
we would do the secret
Tonight?
too?
no,
or-
I want to make sure that at that
Public
public hearing.
on this.
Yeah, right.
But I guess my question is, where did he put
We need to fill the time in.
did he fill it in here?
The time,
no,
no,
he-
the date.
Oh, I see, so 7 p.m.
7 PM.
7.
Councilman Gell asked a
Is that-
question. In terms of the seeker, as I said, you've got the draft, you have the draft negative declaration. That's my recommendation to you as to what you're considering.
What date does he have in there?
You have to comment at the hearing.
Yeah.
The EAF Part 2 is essentially, it's a 6-page document, and every question in there is a no response.
Okay.
Because it's simply a zoning amendment, it's not the approval of a specific project. In terms of what happens after the public hearing, you will first have to take a position with respect to seeker. That will technically cause the application of the petition to be complete, the proposed local law and the seeker position. Then you would act on the local law.
Let me,
Does this have to
All of
go?
it should be done the same evening.
But let me ask
Have
you,
to
did
go
I
to
miss a,
Dutchess
did I
County
miss a,
Planning?
wait, Joe, did I miss a step here? Did we supposed to approve accepting this return from the planning board before we do the hearing?
No,
Acceptance? Okay.
no,
We're okay.
you already have the report of the planning board on
Right,
this.
right.
The introductory resolution includes the referral to county planning and the notice to the town of Red Hook.
So when do we do that? Before the public hearing?
Oh, definitely, definitely. That's, that's all provided for in the introductory resolution.
Take care of that.
Right.
Our clerk will take care of that
All
hopefully
set?
this week.
Right.
Right. Art, I have everything I need right here.
I believe you do.
Okay.
Including the public notice.
All right,
Thank
then we're
you.
good, you think we're good? We're okay then? We're all set then with this? Okay, all right.
Thank you.
It was unusual, I just don't want to miss a step on it, because it was back and forth between us and planning, so I don't want to skip a step.
The petition for rezoning, the report of the planning board occurs in the upfront portion of the process.
Okay, all right, good.
Tom and John will be in contact with Art since we're lead on this to make sure that everything's timely. Yep.
All right. So we're going to return to item 1 for business at this point. Thank you, Art
Thanks,
and
guys.
Michael. And
Good night.
item 1 is a resolution approving the preliminary abstract for V293 through V361 for the amount of $96,000, $96,221.39, tab 2.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item 2 is a resolution approving preliminary capital project 2013 abstract for $3,952.23.
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion?
Unanimous.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? That's so moved. Item 3 is a resolution for the standard workday and reporting resolution. Tab 4.
Motion.
Second.
What is this?
I can explain it.
Retirement,
What?
it's retirement system. Sorry.
Yeah, this is for the, New York State requires that municipalities keep track of the hours worked by certain elected officials, elected and appointed officials. And you have to submit this every time there's a new set of elected officials or appointed officials. So we would have had to submit a new one for me. But it also turns out that the one that we sent in last July was rejected by the state. They didn't like a couple of things about it, so I spoke with them and I corrected it, and this is the corrected version.
What didn't they like?
You see the last column that says days per month? Apparently, we had rounded off. It was evident to them that we had rounded them off, so instead of saying 9 1/3 and so on, it said 9, 10, 61, and so on.
Is this a mistake?
That might be, yeah. It should be 21.
Okay.
So I went back and refigured it with the fractions. The other thing was that Barbara's column had included her number of days worked, which for some reason was incorrect, and I was told to take that out. That's it. Well, and then since we're submitting a new one, we're submitting it with the correct information for myself and Barbara.
But these standard workday, do we submit hours for these people?
Yeah,
Logs.
The way
What?
it works is that the officials in question are supposed to keep a 3-month log of their work activities and submit it, and then it's averaged out and put in. That's what this information is.
And this is used to figure out their pension? So that we have to make sure these are really correct and not wishful thinking.
That's what the logs are for.
Okay?
We already voted on this once.
This was
That
passed
may
last year.
be, each time it comes up, you look at it fresh. It seems that,
The logs are public record, you can look at them and have any input you want.
Poor Kathy, you worked 61 days
Yeah,
that month.
that is.
That's a typo,
that's
that's the typo.
That's a typo. It
21.
was 61 divided by 3.
Okay, got that? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, I guess I should recuse myself.
Opposed?
No, you can.
I can vote aye.
Opposed? All of that's so moved. Item 4, who put this on, John? Item 4.
Apparently, this is how it was explained to me. Apparently, Dutchess County Aging has had a senior picnic,
Right.
which up until last year was at the fairgrounds, and at no cost, apparently.
Well, let me,
And last year it was moved,
yeah, to
and
Tivoli, right?
the cost had, Dutchess County Aging had the event, and then asked the towns to bear the cost. And there was some, I wasn't around, but apparently there was some pushback on that.
Yeah.
So this time, county is asking us to approve the cost in advance. We don't have to.
I brought this up with the seniors, they sent us a bill last year that I refused to have paid, so I brought it to the aging committee, and we're going to table this to, because it is substantial.
You did
so.
see the letter.
How many people are
the other
involved?
side.
109.
It was $600 something, so we're going to, I think I want the committee's approval before I even bring it up to the board, so.
Fine.
You did see the letter at the, behind
didn't see it.
Yeah, just, right.
Yep, okay.
So you want to table this?
Yeah.
It needs to be budgeted, I think.
Well, we have a budget that we could put towards it, but it wasn't really something that the Committee on the Aging thought was, they wanted to put towards this. So I want to bring it back up to the committee again. They didn't want to support it last time, so I'll bring it up and we'll table it, okay?
Thank you.
All right. You know, it's not a picnic that we're having for our seniors. They're having it and then charging us for our people that show up
Exactly.
for it.
Let's
So it's
ask
kinda,
Marcus about
you know,
that next
It's
Monday.
not him. It's
Put it
not-
on the list.
He's not doing it, it's just the aging committee the aging group that we're doing it for other communities. Our thought was that we'd have our own, for our own people, so, you know.
Fine, yeah, we'll listen to it next
Okay.
meeting.
We dealt with item 5. Item 6 is a resolution approving the Master Treasury Services Management Agreement with M&T Bank. That's your tab 7.
look, in connection with this, I'd like to talk to the bank. I think some of the things they're asking for are a bit outrageous. For example, they say that we ratify and confirm that all actions taken, notice, certifications, directions, instructions given, all agreements, instruments, and other documents entered into which relate to the services provided, so in the past, or to be provided by M&T Bank, were given, taken, or entered into prior to the date. I'm sorry, that we ratify and confirm that all these actions were done. I don't see how we can, in good conscience, do something like that. Who knows what they did? And for us to be asked to ratify that all their actions in the past and in the future conform to the agreement, I think is a little bit too much. So I'd like to have a conversation with the bank and see if we can get some modification of this.
Want to hold it over?
Yeah. I
Okay,
would hope
so we'll hold over that. Any
I
problems with
thought
that?
this was boilerplate, and we either had to accept it or reject it in order to do business with them.
Every big company tells you that. that doesn't mean it's necessarily true. The fact that it's a printed form doesn't make it gospel.
All right, we'll hold this over. I'm fine with that.
I commend you for actually reading through the entire thing, Joe.
No, I only read half of it.
Okay, we have an appointment for the
So
Technology Committee.
we'll have it on the agenda for the next meeting?
Yep.
Item 7 is a resolution appointment to the Technology Committee.
We're appointing Dodd Crane to the oh, I'm sorry, is it on there?
Yep.
Did you want to go ahead and?
So a motion and a second, Dodd has indicated he would like to serve as the chair of the committee also. So,
David is stepping down after many years of great service. He's going to stay on and help us,
Good,
and he
okay.
needs, Dodd's retired and has some time to give, and we can use the help.
good. Okay, motion and second.
A motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? It's so moved.
Thank you.
Resolution approving expenditure for the beaver control at the landfill. Motion and second.
Motion.
Second, but
Any
I have
discussion on
some
that?
questions about this. This seems awfully high to me, Bruce. When we were first told that all we had to do was get rid of the beavers and take the dam away and the water would level and just prevent the beavers from reestablishing themselves.
Yeah, the parts are not that expensive. I sent you the, on
Yep, got it.
tab here, it's got the thing. It's the rental of the
Yeah.
equipment
Rental.
and what we have to do with labor. That's the majority. What we're doing with this is what the guy from Chazen said $5,500 to kill him. And the other one said, or the other alternative was $16,000 just to study them, right? So, you know.
Does it seem high to you?
It doesn't seem high to me.
As opposed to $20,000 to do the water quality testing?
Bruce, is this the plan that Crawford, whatever?
Yeah, he suggested it.
And now, is this something the highway department can help with?
Yeah.
Kathy, would you like to speak to that?
I think it depends on the timing, when and how much is expected.
And,
Rather than,
yeah, what kind of help would you need from
have you seen
highway?
it, Kathy?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay.
It's going to depend on what kind of an excavator we can get.
Right. Oh, okay.
And
So their
then,
backhoe won't, you need,
I don't, with the vernal pools and stuff in there, I'm afraid
I think it's too heavy.
yeah, I think the backhoe would dig up too much. So we need something with wide tracks.
My man.
yeah.
Thank you. A couple of things. I think, based on, I don't have all the background information. Obviously, you guys have discussed this before, and I haven't been a party to that. But based on what I could glean from the information that's included in the packet, looks like what you're trying to do is put inverted tubes through the dam. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay. That is first of all, that is a method that the DEC does recommend. You can see it right on their website. And number two is locally, a neighboring municipality had great luck. Mylan did with doing that. They did it, put 2 sets of pipes in to level that off.
For beavers?
Correct, for Beaver Dam. I didn't understand a couple of things, though, such as what would be the purpose of the chain link fencing?
there wasn't any chain link fencing. It's the, basically the concrete reinforcing wire, that kind of stuff. You wrap it around the intake.
You want to do
end
that
of
to
it.
make gabions, basically?
Yeah, so the beaver can't get in to plug up the intake end of it, which is a 10-inch pipe, then it's reduced down to an 8-inch pipe going through the dam.
All right, okay, I mean, I don't know when you were going to do this, or what I haven't seen this myself. You know, I don't know how one would access it and how far back. If there's a way that we can help, we of course would want to. I don't think our equipment's going to be appropriate. I think one of your biggest challenges is going to be to figure out how logistically you're going to get in there. When Mylan had the situation, it turned out that they actually had to say, equipment does not work, we've got to go in and use just labor. So that's something just to think about and be prepared for. And again, we've taken on an ambitious construction schedule for this summer, as you well know. We've got not just the road projects, but the two bridges we're trying to do as well, projects on. So we're tight. And as you know, we're down a person as well. So we'd like to be helpful if we can, but at the moment, I don't know enough or what would be asked of us to say, yeah, sure, rah, rah, and commit. Of course, we want to where we can, but I certainly need more information to be a part of whatever we decide.
Thank you.
Look, in connection, Kathy, with the tasks that you have, I gather the highway department's going to put docks in the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
And Bruce, in this connection, we've gotten a notice that the ferry company is not going to be operating.
Right.
It probably would save some time for the highway department if they don't have to put the ferry dock in.
Yeah.
Are you envisioning that the ferry dock be put in or no?
No, and
Oh.
it's not going to be there anyway. It's got to be towed over from Kingston if we did it.
Oh, okay.
Kingston would do that for us anyways, but that's not really,
The only thing we would need is to put the ramp down with the backhoe.
so
But
you're
we
not
don't
gonna-
have to
you're
do
not
that
gonna-
at
are you
this
on the
point.
waterfront? No.
No, but I maintenance, so.
Okay. So does the waterfront committee want the dock down or no? Do we know, or you do a waterfront? Right?
That wasn't discussed at the meeting. I'll reach out to them and find out.
Curious.
I don't think it makes sense to put a ferry dock in if the ferry's not operating, because it also, the dock itself that was locked and actually obstructed other uses
Right.
from the area, so if it's not going to be there, better not to have it there, because that opens you up for more use.
Yeah, and the other problem with it was too high for casual boaters.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So, back to the beaver thing, though, the engineer has informed us that the DEC is happy with our approach, but not happy that our wells are starting to flood. So
I'm sorry, that are what?
we have test wells
Oh,
up there
okay, good,
for the
right.
gases and everything.
Wells.
And so we need to get the water table down and,
So this has to be done as soon as possible.
well,
Can we vote on it and get it done, like, start moving on it?
yeah, and I don't know whether 5,000, 4,000, or 7,000 is the right number. I have no idea until we get into it more.
We have to just start doing
Well, I was
it.
under the impression that the sooner rather than the better, before they have babies and hatch out.
Well, the
and get
time, if we
established, so-
wanted to trap them, kill them, the time's over. That was
I
closed in.
don't believe that.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, April 1st is
April
the
1st,
season.
it's over. So this is our only, and this is our only thing to do right now.
So we do have a motion and second to approve the
Okay.
expenditures. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Item 9 is a resolution. Did you have something, Kathy, for this? I'm sorry.
No, I was going to add on to the beaver thing, let's move.
All right. Approving the hiring for the 2013 recreation program. It's your tab 10.
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? I'll say a second.
Well, I'll just explain it. What we did was we prorated the salaries based on the expected workload by month, and it's based on our experience in the past.
My concern, and I've spoken to you about this, is that we have a part-time, year-round rec director who's designing the programs, working with the committee to do that, but you're saying that that's what the rec director is going to be doing here.
What do you mean, part-time?
A year-round, part-time rec director.
That's a concern? I'm just confused. She's here for the full year.
She will be.
Yes.
Who is the she? Is that C. Carey?
Yeah, Chris Carey.
Does it concern anyone else on the board that these are hirees that the full board doesn't vet? Does that matter to, does that matter to anyone?
Just like highway, just like,
The committee decides, right? They're the ones that interview and so on, right?
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
wondering. Should it be that way?
Well, we approve it eventually. We're the ones ultimately that approve it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's hard for me to approve something if I haven't actually had a chance to interview the person or speak to the person, or, it doesn't matter, if it doesn't matter to anybody else, it doesn't matter to me, but.
I'm fine if the board wants to interview all the lifeguards, all the campers, camp counselors, everything else, I'm fine with that.
I don't think we should, I think the rec director should be interviewing those people, but we should be interviewing the rec director. Vetting.
That, I think that could be.
I don't want to,
Okay, so let's change the law then. Right? And let's do it officially on the books and change it.
All
But
right, that
right
might
now,
be a
this is
bad
the way it
idea.
is.
Okay.
The committee
Well, this
does
The
it.
statute, Bruce, that deals with,
Yeah.
but that was a recent change. It wasn't always like that. It used to be that the town board hired the rec director worked with the committee.
When, though?
It was set up like that in 1972.
Yeah, but 1975, it said the camp director, or the rec committee hires the camp director,
Camp, not rec.
or rec director. Where's yours and where's mine? We'll get this out.
I would certainly feel more comfortable with that and have them be in charge of hiring all the lifeguards and the,
Well, that's the way it's supposed to work.
yeah, but I would be more comfortable if we revert the law to the board actually hires the rec director.
And that's fine. I think that the key personnel should be hired that way. And I think that should be consistent across the town,
Okay.
I agree.
which it's not.
We agree, Bruce. So let's find those inconsistencies and change them in the law.
February 10th, 1975, it says that the committee hires, whatever, the rec director. Where's yours?
I've got it right here. I've got 72 and 75.
At the bottom of the committee, it says appoints rec director.
Okay. So they appoint rec director, and how does it work? The rec director reports, who designs the program?
Rec director, if we have one in place. The way it works is the programs, the strategy, whatever that the committee thinks are needed for the community, they give them to the rec director, and the rec director is supposed to implement those things. The rec director can come up with enhancements, changes, and so on. Over the last few years, we haven't had a stable, consistent year-to-year rec director, so the rec committee has been doing more. And the rec committee doesn't want to do more. Rec committee wants to go back to saying, okay, what fields do we need, and what do we have to do to that field, and that kind of
I have
thing.
a 77-1-2, which is the same thing, that the committee appoints the rec director, the director appoints persons to positions of instructions, assistants, lifeguards, implements and coordinates the plans and programs developed by the committee, and then really should, report to us as we like.
The rec director's position has strict standards, and they're under the oversight of the county personnel.
I'm sorry, did you say
department.
we haven't had a full-time, a year-round rec director recently? I was reading that while you were talking, I apologize.
No, I said we haven't had the consistency from year to year. We changed, we had a year-round rec director until last year. And then last year, we tried something different, and so this year
So we
we're
go back. Is this enough of a salary for a year-round part-time rec director?
No, but that's a different discussion. I don't think we should be having that right now.
Okay. My concern is that somebody, as this woman, I've met her, I've talked to her, I know a little bit about her background, seems qualified. I am in favor of having a qualified person overseeing our rec department.
The thing that I think people need to understand is the February 16th, 1977 one at the bottom.
Yeah.
It says, "The director serves at the pleasure of the committee." That's the part we have to change.
Do you believe that it should serve, the person should serve at the pleasure of the board?
No, that's what's being asked.
What do you- what do you-
That's what,
You did say, though, that, don't you agree with that? As long
no,
as all
I
the
said
other
it, I
ones
said
go
it's,
along with
I'm
it?
fine with it. I'm fine with it. It's just that we're following what the rule is. That's
Right.
what we're doing.
I
So if
think.
you want to change the rule, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Well, are we going to go ahead and change the rule? Should Elizabeth look at, or Gina look at the existing law?
Well, we've got a history of the existing laws here. We've talked about it. I don't want to impede the process. I know we're tight in the year. My concern has been, what is the board oversight of this? Where does the committee, all these people who work very hard, stop, and where do we begin? It's also a large amount of money that we, apply to rec. I want to make sure it's properly funded, and that there's some board oversight to the extent that we can without impeding what they're doing.
Keep in mind, there's the strict standards for the bylaws for the recreation too. It's like on the other committee or whatever, it's almost like a board here, so.
There's a
lot-
state statutory.
Right, there's a
yeah.
lot to consider other than just what you see on paper with the laws here. There are higher standards.
Board of Health is the biggest thing.
Exactly.
What I was trying to say is that should Elizabeth look at the existing provisions and come up with a set of amendments to change it so there's board oversight over the rec director? I think in terms of liability, that the more the board is involved in it, the better off if we ever have a lawsuit that we didn't properly supervise this program where you got a lot of children. So that I think generally it's a good idea because of possible liability that the board have input into the person who is running the rec programs.
I also think it's something we may need an attorney's input on, because I have something here that was written by previous town attorney that said that it was a little squiffy and we should tighten it up a little bit. That's not exactly the word that
I would
he used, but-
suggest that those of you who have different
Technical word.
opinions about this, that you check with some of the other towns, because like Red Hook has a commission, even though this isn't a commission, and there's different organizations in different towns, the way they work the programs. And just because you have an idea may not be, it may be very,
Maybe not
may be
legal.
very dangerous, let me put it that way.
It may not be a good idea.
Well, this,
And I'm not going to, I think you need to go and talk to other towns, and our program is different than a lot of other towns, too. We're much bigger than some and much smaller than others. So don't do this hastily.
well,
Let's have a moratorium on it for
no,
a year.
let's,
About 3.
Not for a whole year, Bruce, maybe for 30 days.
Well, but this is far more complicated than Leeds.
So do we approve the,
No, we didn't approve
all in
any.
favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
aye.
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 So moved. Item 10 is a resolution authorizing the sale of a surplus equipment.
This is, like Bobby put this on, this is, the first one is the maintenance truck, the second one is the transfer station truck, third one is the forklift from the transfer station, and the fourth one is the old, number something or other from, it was the highway one that they kept for building the park. And,
I'm sorry, number one is the existing truck Bobby uses?
yes,
And we're going to do this by sealed bids, and how much time do people have to bid on this?
it was working that out with you, John, or?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to set a time, you can do that.
Well, last time I raised it, you said I was locked in. I think we at least want a month for people to really assess this.
Well,
We can refuse all bids, too.
Right.
Yeah, but it's, I
you
think,
can
better to
reissue
try
it.
to get, some fair bids.
this is unique equipment. I think it needs more time too, so we shouldn't make it too short, I think.
Right, I think we got some comments from the,
Question, if you're putting out the current,
Truck?
if you're putting the current truck that's in use out to bid now, I think, and please, John would know this better than I would, I think there's something in the law that if you did accept a bid, I think you have to turn the equipment over within 30 days. I think you may be premature in listing the one that you're using because you want to, usually it takes several months to get a truck that you order in place. So I just want to point that out to you.
We had that. We were going to stage it. What this was supposed to have been was agreeing to surplus the equipment, and then we would stage it that way.
Okay.
so the ad then would just list 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I thought
When we're ready.
you'd had that conversation, but no.
I haven't, but I think that the wording, the resolution.
It allows us to do
says,
that.
place the appropriate newspaper advertisements,
Yeah.
and that sale by sealed bid, it's very general.
So we can approve it and decide on the time frame as,
why don't we decide on the time frame now?
because
so
we
can
have to
write-
order Bobby's new truck.
No, we're leaving out the truck, the Bob's new truck. We're just doing items 2, 3, and 4.
I didn't agree to leave out the truck.
Okay,
Well, that's what Kathy just said. We can't really list it for sale till we know when Bobby's new truck is coming.
The point that I raised is actually to remove item 1 from the same time frame as the other. The others are surplus equipment that are currently surplus.
John
I think
just-
you'd want to know how much money you end up getting for those, so it makes sense to put those out to bid sooner so that you know your income.
This simply authorizes
Us to do
these
it.
items to be put out for bid.
It doesn't say when.
There's a
so-
lot of flexibility here. I think if you approve it, it's giving us the ability to put this out as
As needed.
needed.
so then you have discretion as to how much time the bidders have to put the bid in? Don't you need a direction?
I would
From the
really,
board?
I would defer to Bobby as having the discretion.
The
as to-
supervisor of the maintenance department would decide on the schedule after things are.
Why would that be unacceptable?
Because I think the board ought to set 30 days and not get into what we had before with the Gravely, which is worth a lot less. This stuff is
Can I
worth a
just
lot of
point out,
money.
The cemetery equipment actually was approved back in December. We just got around to placing the ad a few weeks ago, and there's easily a month or more between the time the ad was placed and the time for the bids to come in. So I don't see that there was too little time given there.
Well, whether there was or wasn't, at least on this one, I would like a lot of time to have this shopped so we can tell people about it and.
I'm happy with deferring it to the supervisor of the maintenance department. As it's written, it,
Well, how much time do you want minimum?
Sounds like he wants a
I
month.
think at least a month. What do you think, Bruce? How much time?
I'm fine with that.
You think a month is enough time, or 6 weeks? I know we have one source that they're interested in one item.
We have many inquiries, yeah.
Oh, okay, we've gotten a bunch of inquiries.
So we'll set it for at least a month for each one of these.
I can't imagine that we would have done otherwise.
Yeah,
Fine.
but just say yes and let's move on.
Yes.
How else do we get the word out beside the newspaper, which nobody reads anyway?
Website
Website?
and
And-
the email.
and there are certain people who have been identified who'd like to be contacted through when we have equipment available.
There's the town email that goes out.
Oh, okay, and town website, okay, good.
And usually you stage it somewhere visible with the for auction sign in it. So that
Like at the highway department on the
Or I
knoll.
believe some of the, like has happened recently, I believe the.
On Route 9.
Transfer station and stuff was brought down to the rec park. So that's a visible place, the highway department's certainly a visible place,
Where are we going to keep it, Bruce? At the rec?
Everything's been brought down except for the big truck, which they can't get going.
Oh, they can't.
Everything's been brought down to the pool area. Everything's in fenced-in area in the pool. It's under lock and key. So you're gonna be opening the pool, so you're gonna have to move that stuff out soon.
Should we keep it at the highway department?
That's in the document. You know, you got the forklift, the transfer truck could go now, and number 5 could go now. The only truck that needs to be kept is Bobby's dump truck that he's running around now.
Until he gets his new truck.
What about the
We've
truck
got
at
this.
the landfill? You're saying that won't start?
The brakes are frozen on it.
Oh, so could the trailer bring it down?
No, the back wheels are locked up.
For the price, it's being scrapped. So, you know, they'll make an appointment, go in and see it, and see what happens.
We tried to move it.
Can we vote?
I want to talk about it more.
Has it been a month yet?
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item 11 is resolution authorizing the hire of a cemetery worker. So,
Motion.
Second.
Second.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Now on for discussion.
I think we have one other piece of business. We met with someone today for the Board of Assessment Review.
Oh, good.
We'd
You
like
want to
to.
bring that up today?
I would like to appoint, yes, we need,
Okay.
we,
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
am I allowed to say?
Yeah, we can just, we have an application in, right?
We have an application in from a citizen who agreed to serve on the Board of Assessment Review, an executive session today. We met with the applicant, and I'd like to make a motion to name Steve Jenkins to the Board of Assessment Review.
Second.
All in favor?
Any discussion?
Oh, there you go.
Discussion on that?
Welcome.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
We need 2 other people, if anyone else is willing to serve and has any financial or real estate background, we'd love to have you. Please contact me. Thanks. So we have a quorum now for the Board of Assessment Review.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So, good. All right, item for discussion is the Time Warner contract, item 1. Who brought that up? Anybody want to talk about that?
I was contacted by a constituent who's an electrical engineer, and he has not been happy with his Time Warner. And they say that they're fiber, but yet they're not. They're still wire. And he really wants us to take a new look and possibly renegotiate our contract, which is currently just rolled over. There are other options than when we first
We've had the same
went in with
contract
them
since
for 20
92, I
years.
think,
Yeah.
right?
And I think that's a very good idea. He's willing to work with me on it and has been doing a lot of research on it.
Did you
and-
talk to the former Panda people I
Yep.
mentioned, and you got some
Yep.
input?
Yep.
Good. I'm all,
So, I think I would like him to come present his thoughts on it at one of our meetings, if that's okay.
Yeah, is there, I'm for it.
I think it's great.
Well, is there a Panda issue with this too? I get,
Oh, we get money from Panda.
or they get money from, yeah, whatever. There's a lot of issues. I mean, they
Yes,
haven't,
there are.
there's people who don't have cable service.
People who don't have cable,
Rhinebeck,
we don't have, it's not
Exactly,
optical.
and we
Yeah.
do have more options now.
And they're making a lot more money off the franchise than when, 20 years ago, now they offer
Yes.
phone and high-speed internet as opposed to just cable
And
network.
they do not allow their numbers to be portable. If you change to a computer telephone service, they do not allow the phone number to carry over, which is not right. And it's unnecessary in this day and age of technology for them to hold us ransom like that.
Go for it.
Bruce, I had a recollection that we
hope-
were going to write to the Public Service Commission. Did we ever do that?
We asked John to do that.
John?
Yeah, it was requesting the PSC audit.
John looks at
I
us
don't remember
puzzled.
that, but-
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we did discuss it.
That we asked John to do it?
Why don't we ask this committee or this task force or this guy to
Because
take
it's
that
got to
on?
be on the official town letterhead.
Right.
Well, someone can compose it and John could send it out. I think
All right.
it's asking,
Bruce, do you want to write it for John?
no.
I think all you gotta to say, it's 2 sentences, we're the town of Rhinebeck.
Oh, I don't mind.
You want to write
I'll do
it?
It was all
With
done.
Alan,
It
yeah.
was all sent in emails. It says what they do and what the request. We did all
We
that.
approved it a couple of months ago, I think.
Yeah.
We'll look it up.
All right,
Okay.
I'll help you look it up, John. We'll get it done.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right, good. Hiring a town prosecutor is a,
I put this on,
too.
just wanted to remind you all, when we were talking to attorneys, it's one of the recommendations we had, and I know that we've been speaking to the courts, and there seems to be some positive feedback.
These are good.
I want to know if you guys want to move forward with this. I'm in favor of moving forward with it.
I'm definitely there with you, Elizabeth, and I spoke to the town of Red Hook, and it definitely is a revenue generator for the town of Red Hook. It looks like for the amount of money it would cost us to hire one, I think we had 3 different people suggest what they would charge, that we would definitely end up generating some revenue.
I think we could, I would be in favor of trying it for a period of time and seeing how it works with us revenue-wise and, you know, with regard to the court and go from there.
And all of the 3 that we spoke to were willing to do it for a flat fee.
I would also want us to publish a request for resumes. I would want to
Yeah,
open it.
no, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
I agree with all that, but I don't think you should view this as necessarily we're doing it to generate revenue. We are interested in the administration of justice, and if this will facilitate that, we should do it.
And it's also keeping justice more local, in effect.
all right.
Not wanting to prolong it, I don't know what that means, but.
You guys have any thoughts? You four?
It's good. I mean, it works in other communities. Yeah, we should
Bruce?
explore it. I just want to make sure, you talked to the judges about it at all, or no?
Yes and no. I spoke to Justice Kane, Justice Sanchez, I have not been able to talk to. But I think the way we should proceed is maybe for Gina or I to send a note to the judges saying that we want to proceed, that we're going to interview people. Once we have a candidate, we will introduce that candidate to them. Or maybe it may come softer from Gina.
All right, Joe, happy to do it.
Okay.
I'm pretty much okay with this. I was as far as the traffic court part of it went. I also was intrigued with the prosecuting some of the zoning issues.
Yes.
And
I meant to bring that up tonight
I
earlier.
think we need to discuss as we get to the point of hiring somebody, whether we're going to have them prosecute those or whether we're going to have our normal attorney do that.
Would certainly help with any chronic offenders to,
Or any nagging issues, yeah.
so can we place an ad for a request, no, what do we do?
I don't think we're at that point yet, to get to place an ad for, you mean to hire somebody for?
Well, I think we should advertise for it and interview people. I have some names of the special attorneys for other towns. I think we should invite them in to talk to us, and any other people that we know of.
Why don't you think we're at the point?
We haven't talked to the judges yet.
Well, we have,
Well, we have.
one hasn't, we have with one.
Okay.
We've
I think we can
attempted,
do it,
Tom,
the rest
to-
can.
And I've
We've
left
attempted
messages
to talk to
exactly
them.
what it was
Okay.
about, so.
Well, I'm going to talk to him on my own then.
Fine.
All right, I'll approach him just so he knows what's going on, because I definitely want to give the judge the respect of what's going on before we advertise for somebody to take that position in our town.
Yeah, maybe you can talk to him the next week and let John know when he can put the ad in.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to get the ad going. Do we need,
I don't think you need a motion.
Why?
Is that what you've done in the past?
I believe we have in the past.
No? Actually done a resolution to place.
Well, we don't even have a job description for this either, so. You guys, I don't know, I don't think we're at that point yet, anyway.
I think we are.
I think we're beyond the time when we should have had one.
Anybody else?
So I'd like to make a motion that we advertise for proposals for whatever, town
Town
prosecutors.
prosecutor.
And
Good, second.
And we do it as a request for information. So it's not that we're offering a position, we're just gathering information for it.
Fantastic.
And I know, Tom, you weren't able to make it to any of the interview sessions for the lawyers, but we learned a lot about what that position entails during that procedure.
Right. So there's a motion and a second? Who was the second after that?
I seconded.
Okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
And I'll oppose.
For information.
I'm good for information, I'd just like to see the job description.
Oh,
Well,
well,
we're-
I thought we would develop it out of
We're
that information.
gleaning it from the information.
All right, here.
But I would envision as part of this process, we can ask for information and get a sense of the people as to whether or not we want to offer them a position.
Right. Item 3 is setting dates for departmental audit reports.
We've passed out the audit sheets to everybody. We don't really have when we want to go over the audit results, so I just put this on to set a date. I certainly don't have any fixed date on, but unless we actually schedule a date,
What has to be audited? Could we just enumerate for the public or for ourselves?
Well, I
well,
still,
any group that gets money.
Okay,
any
so
part of the-
Yes.
Yeah,
pool,
and where they go.
rec.
I finished with
Do you
my
need help with
justice.
anything? Bruce, I have a little time.
no, I'm waiting till Shelley frees up, and then I have to sit there for a couple of days and go through the records.
When should we set it for, Bruce, do you think?
I'd say late June, mid-June, whatever, is the second meeting in June, for everything to be done.
My one hesitation, John, is every year we get a letter from the courts as to give us the audit results, and we turn over our work papers. I wonder, could we do it maybe in 2 separate stages, everything except what you need, and maybe set a, say, May, first meeting in May, except for that, and then we do that later?
That's fine. I mean, the two things I want the cash with rec, and I want payroll. And
What payroll, I'm sorry?
I want to see the payroll records. I want to see the time cards cross-referenced with the payroll records. I want to see how many days people took off.
So could
Those
we
kinds of
do
things.
May 13 for everything except the rec?
I won't be able to be here that day, Joe.
Or you want to
We'll just turn it in. You can turn it in.
I've got my.
turn in, yeah, and give me
justice
what
one.
your results are, anything you want me to raise?
I'd like to work with you on the
Yeah, that's fine.
payroll.
So John, you'll schedule that? Remind us?
Audits due.
Would you put it on the agenda for the 13th that our audits are for the departments are due? Thank you. Does anybody need help with anything?
Zoning I haven't done. Tom, did you want to do zoning?
What's that? You haven't done it?
No, I did the justices.
Uh,
A justice.
A justice.
Question for clarification, we're auditing calendar year 2012.
Yes,
Yes.
which I've got half the paperwork done for the highway if anyone needs it. I could make the mistake again, yeah.
But we're considering a moratorium, so it may be 2015 that we're
Oh,
actually looking at.
Don't be bearish.
right.
Elizabeth, you're doing highway, right?
Highway is Bruce's department, would you
Oh,
like me? Oh, I'm sorry, it's your department. Would you like me to?
It's highway now, but not for 2000. If you'd like to do highway, I would love it.
Sure, I'll take over, I hope I saved those sheets. Yes, it's the driveway cuts, correct?
All right.
And you'll do zoning, Tom?
You don't want to do it? You want to get it? No?
I'd rather just continue the ones I'm doing.
Okay.
Okay.
I have planning then, and what do I have? I have planning and highway.
But Tom, so you have to do town clerk. I think you've
Right.
always done town clerk.
Right. Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, when did we say 5:13?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
All right, LED lighting, where'd Bruce go?
What this is, I put this on, is I've been contacted by a citizen who wants to sell us LED lighting. He says it's a wonderful thing and it's great.
For what?
For all the buildings, he could convince us to do LED lighting, including Town Hall. He says he's looked at Town Hall and it was here, and he thinks it would be great. On the other hand, we have gotten the upgrade from Central Hudson free. That was about a year ago. My own view, subject to what the rest of the board thinks, is it's just too soon to start spending several $100s on LED lighting.
Does that include his labor to put them in and everything, or is he talking about?
I guess selling the bulbs and equipment.
Well, do we want him to come speak to us?
You're the energy guy.
Well, my own inclination is if we've gotten this upgrade free a year or year and a half ago, why spend more money, let more time goes by? I did briefly speak to Bobby, and my recollection was that he didn't think it was a very good idea, but I think...
Could be used for the rec field somehow? The rec field somehow?
Pardon me?
Could be used for the rec field? Something, maybe he's got something for that, for the
No,
future?
that would be Central Hudson would have to do that, and I think, Gina, as I remember it, you were going to check with a lighting engineer as to whether we could downgrade the voltage there, because Central Hudson says that's the only way to save money.
Did you ever check with that, or no?
And I think Morris can help you on that if, you know,
I
we
thought
want to
that they
pursue
gave me a
that.
specific lighting engineer. I'll have to look at my notes on that. I'll
Kathy?
check that.
Was every building done under the Central Hudson plan? Because these look to not be the smaller bowls.
No, these were done highway, they didn't do transfer
I
station.
know they did highway and were pleased with the lighting quality
Yeah.
as well, and there was energy efficiency that was projected, and it's hard because we did so much at once.
Right.
With solar as well, to save savings where, but but these ones were done as well?
Yeah, I think they did rec, they did Bobby's shop.
They were supposed to do transfer, but they never did it. Those big bulbs like you have in the base, they didn't get to those, and those are the big savers, too.
And Kathy, remember the lights behind you are not turned on, so...
No, that's just not, I'm looking at the actual fixture and the actual pole, and they look larger.
They were here.
Yeah.
They did it.
Yeah, it did make a difference. I don't know about the savings, but have you seen the savings?
Well, it's hard, as you said, for us, because we did the solar then right on the heels of it, so where is the savings coming from?
Right,
Across the board, we did so much in terms of energy efficiency upgrades.
right. Okay. All right,
I
yeah.
put it on because I think it's a board decision. My own inclination is not to do it, but if anybody wants to pursue it.
I don't think, I don't know. If we didn't do this, I would say so, like you said, but whatever, unless somebody else opposes. All right, so we'll move on, dog kennel?
Dog kennel, Joe and I met with Eileen Rohr, the supervisor from Hyde Park.
Aileen, Aileen, you mean?
Aileen,
Aileen
yeah,
Rohr.
yeah, I'm sorry, my bad. With Aileen and the dog control officer for both the town of Red Hook and the town of Hyde Park, and as well as the animal control liaison for Red Hook. And they propose.
Brenda Kale.
Yeah. They propose an intermunicipal grant application for a dog kennel that would allow all 3 communities to house dogs, and they use the same dog control officer, and we, of course, have Roger. And she and Roger work very well together, covering for each other and helping each other. So the grant would theoretically pay for a new kennel, so then we went and visited the highway department to look at the old kennel that we currently use. We looked at different proposed or possible sites at the highway garage. After I went and looked at both, I think maybe the transfer station, if we were to proceed with this, might be the place to do it. It would be less of an impact for noise if each town would want 3 of their own spaces in the kennel. And you theoretically could have 9 dogs at a time, although that's very unusual. But Hyde Park does have a high degree of dogs, much more than we do or Red Hook does. It's in the initial stage, but we would have to apply for a grant to get it. But a lot of things are good about it. It is intermunicipal, so that goes along with what the county is wanting us all to do. It is more efficient. We would end up making some money because of the amount of dogs that Hyde Park has. It would definitely cover the cost of our animal control
How many
officer.
dogs do they have every month?
They're going to get us that detail, but I think it was something like 12 to 15.
Which Hyde Park?
Yeah, and an average of 1 to 2 days.
And
Kept.
we have like 12 a year.
Yeah, and we're similar with Red Hook.
So Red Hook, so we'd be, do you want to finish, or you want me to just?
Yeah,
go
Hyde
ahead.
Park has 3 dogs now.
I'm not,
I
I don't like the idea of going into the dog kennel business. I think it's a stretch for us. I think to build a kennel for 12 dogs, we still have to heat it and take care of it, even if only 1 or 2 dogs are there. I don't think it's appropriate. I was at the highway department this week, looking again at the placement. If we move it back, I think we're too close to a residential area, and I don't like the idea of the dogs being, I think where the kennel is now is great because people can see them, they have a chance of being adopted. I don't like the idea of having dogs in an isolated place where no one has an eye on them. I feel like we take care of our dog problem easily, and it's not so much a problem. I think it's a bigger problem for Hyde Park, and I'm a little loath to go into the kennel business. I think it's stretching us. That's my feeling.
I agree with Elizabeth.
Any further comments?
Well, are we voting on this, or is it just
Uh,
a
No,
no.
it's discussion.
Yeah, just the difference is the animal control in the other towns, our animal control officer actually takes care of the dogs and so on. He feeds them and everything else. So Hyde Park and Red Hooks does not. They bring them to the kennel and it's taken care of by the kennel.
Right.
So it's kind of an apples and oranges things as far as service with the animal control officers. So that's one big difference to consider if you guys could further consider this. So, but anyways, we appreciate the
Thanks.
attempt to have a 3-town intermunicipal concept, and maybe.
But I think we just will create issues if, one doesn't clean up, who cleans up after the dogs, if somebody doesn't come and feed the dogs. I think you're taking on a lot of liability and a lot of risk here of becoming, going into the kennel business.
Right.
where we can be accused of not feeding the dogs, not properly.
Big responsibility.
I don't
Responsibility.
think we should ignore it. I mean, if they were offering the kennels, maybe we could benefit that way, if we were
Yes.
going to share some kind of services, but it seems like a lot of the burden's being dropped on us to
I
with
agree.
landing here, so that's my concern. The concept is great, if it
Yeah.
could work out the other way.
Yeah, if they
Right.
wanted to build the kennels and house them, I would be all in favor of moving our dogs
Do you think
there.
it's easier for our residents to drive to Hyde Park to get their dog?
No.
It's not, but,
It would be supporting an intermunicipal agreement, though, like an efficiency, so when that, I mean, Hyde Park's not that far away, I'm there, 20 times a week, going through it 10 times a
No,
week.
it's further for Red Hook. Our location geographically.
I
just-
think geographically it's
Yeah.
better, but it's a burden on us where we don't have a lot of call for,
Okay.
that's just my feeling.
Right, we have the least amount of dogs of
Right.
the three.
right.
I think, we're trying to get out of businesses and,
Item 6 is the transfer station internet connection.
In this connection, when we privatized the transfer station, we cut off, I think, phone service and internet service. As a result, the solar cannot be read by the vendor who periodically or every day monitors production and to make sure that it's working. I got this email from them because I asked them to go look at the transfer station to see if it's still working. Because remember, we got this huge
Yeah.
bill for electric.
yep.
And so let me just read the response. It's just a few lines. Joe, I was unable to make it to the transfer station this weekend. Unfortunately, having a small window on Saturday makes it difficult. I'll try for next weekend on this. However, I did look at your current billing. Last year, 2/24/12, you used 2,279 kilowatts. This year, you use 5,034 kilowatts. In result, they either left the heat on, or there was snow on the modules all month, or the solar is turned off. Do you have any way to get in there during the week? Not having the ability to see the data monitoring system makes it difficult and time-consuming to follow. The town hall is doing well. I had Kim price how much it would be to reinstall the internet, and depending whether it's a one-year contract, two-year contract, or three-year contract, they would waive the installation charge, which is about $149, and it would be about $50 a month. I think it's probably worthwhile to just reinstall just internet so that the solar company can monitor.
Why $50 a month?
For internet?
Yeah.
It's
It's going to be a phone line.
She checked with
Time Warner.
Yeah,
Frontier.
it's going to be a
That's
phone
what she,
line.
what?
It's going to be a phone line.
That's what she came back with, the numbers. Maybe a phone line is cheaper. If you want to check with that, or I can work with you, and we could have a call with the solar company as to whether they can work off a phone line as opposed to...
That's what they had.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. They had a phone line. Frontier was the provider there. So it's just $50 seems awful high for what that,
But they also had internet. I know Nancy had a computer and she was
Yeah,
It was
but the-
over
internet
a phone
connected.
line. It was
Over the
a
phone line.
Just over a phone line?
yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can get phone line if it's cheaper, can...
No, that's what they're going to give you. They're going to give you, they're just going to turn on what you already have there.
That's why they're waiving the
And
installation.
I'm just
No.
concerned about $50. That seems awful high for
I
that.
thought it was too, but what I was really appalled at was the energy waste that was done, is that not in our contract, that if they
No,
go over a
no.
normal?
Well, I'll go into that now that we're,
No, but could we
let's get the
just
internet thing.
resolve the phone part? How do we resolve that? Bruce, do you want to talk to Kim and ask her to shop the
Well,
price?
I mean, the reason we shut it off was to save money.
Right, I understand.
And so if we're
And
gonna.
none of us realized that it would turn off the solar.
Right, so if we're gonna spend $600 a year,
Does it?
Well, it's not turning off the solar, it just
It
isn't
does-
allowing them to monitor it. Why can't we give them access with, don't
well,
other?
they said, that when I was
people have
talking to
keys?
them, because how some of this started was I went to Joe and said, the website's down, can you give me the website? And Jason, I think it is?
Yeah, Jason.
He said you can go and you can plug your laptop into it and download the information. What you don't get is the streaming every day, but if it had been off since November and nobody knew it, it doesn't look like we're doing a lot of monitoring anyway.
Well, that's because it's not connected. But Gina, I think it's unreasonable to ask this guy who did the job already, he's really finished, to come back periodically and monitor whether the thing is working.
No, but we could do, we
Yeah,
could
why
do
can't
that.
we? That's what I'm saying.
We could do that.
But then you won't know the amount of the production. I don't certainly know how to monitor it.
We go down
And-
with a laptop and you log in, you're saying it's pretty easy, right?
That's the impression I got. I don't care. I mean, putting it back on probably makes more sense. I thought $50 seemed awful high.
Well, let's talk to Kim and see if she can get it cheaper. Maybe we're not asking the right question of Frontier.
Okay. As far as the,
It's gonna cost us more to monitor it than the savings that we're getting from the solar.
Well, at least,
it's
but you
gonna,
know what they
we
could
gotta
tell-
make that trade-off, yeah.
What they can tell us is that if we're using too much electricity, probably somebody left the heat on. And that you may know sooner than getting a bill 2 months later from the power company for $700.
Well, can't we put the heat on a timer? Since they apparently can't be trusted to turn the heat down when they leave?
No,
They're only in 1 day a week?
no, you're jumping here. The
Bet.
heat has to stay on because of the water in the building.
Yeah, but it can be turned down.
And it was turned down. That wasn't the problem. What seems to have been the problem, there's a number of problems. One of them is we're plugged in the block heaters on the 2 trucks that they leave there. So that's where we think the big energy,
Was that in their contract that they were
No,
allowed to do
no.
that?
but it wasn't in their contract that they weren't allowed to do it. What their billing was for, we didn't know they were going to do it when we wrote the contract. What was in the contract was that what they were going to pay us back was for the solar, right?
Well, $100 a month, but that didn't cover the solar.
But
the contract-
the idea was to recover the expense of the solar.
Some
Yeah,
of it.
okay. Now, they had never been billed for that. And so their bill from 2012 is still, they're waiting for it. They've offered to pay for the whole year in advance or whatever, plus anything, but we have to get somebody to bill them for the electricity per the contract. The other thing,
So we got to tell Shelley to send them a bill, I assume.
yeah, it's just, this is another one of those things where you got to figure out what happens here, how does it get implemented, like the lead stuff, you know.
Something can go
What's the
wrong,
fi-
it will go wrong. John, can you put in your notes to tell Shelley to send them a bill?
The, all of the photocells on all of the lights are burned out, so Bobby is starting to replace those. There's other lights that he turns off and they turn on, and so he checks, but he's in there frequently, so he's taking care of that. The other thing was the solar. I was in there one day and the knife switch was off, and then I was in there another day and the knife switch was on, the big one outside by the door. And then the last time I was in there,
So somebody turned off the solar?
Don't they have a sign there saying, "Do not touch this" or something?
Yeah, they do, but they don't have a lock on it. So, and I don't think you can, because if you needed to shut off the
Right, if
the
there's a
power,
fire.
Yeah. So the last time I was up there, I go around the corner, and there's a sweatshirt hanging on it. And it's down, and I take the sweatshirt off, thinking maybe that's what pulled it. And there was a bag of books underneath the sweatshirt. So somebody hung it on there doing something or other, and that probably shut the thing off. I'll go back to Royal about, you can't plug in your heaters anymore, that kind of a thing, or you're going to have to pay for them or something like that. You're going to let Shelley know about billing them? Okay. And we'll get all the other electrical stuff fixed. It's
When is their contract up for renewal?
3 years. You can do it.
We have a right to cancel, I think, on 30 days notice,
Yeah,
90 days
yeah.
notice, but why, remember, we only had one bidder for this thing, so we're not necessarily in the driver's seat here.
And the other one that was considering it is out of business, so,
Oh, they're out of business?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sold off to the other one, another one.
Quick.
Not that they're failed, they just sold the business, so he's out of it too. So, yeah. All right, so any further on this?
I think we
Yeah,
have
this
to
is
put a
about internet.
bigger sign over
Wait.
that, saying, "Please
No, we're
do
good.
not touch this switch."
And an exclamation point on there too, just to know that they're serious about it.
That's another reason I think, that we gotta hook up something so the solar company can tell us if the thing is not working.
So for the original issue, the internet connection, we okay with that?
Yeah,
Was
assuming
that
we
the
can get
original
a
issue?
cheaper- Yes, Bruce and I are gonna try to get a rock bottom price.
Okay.
Rock.
Item 7 is the review.
Carrier
of the-
pigeons.
Review of the town-owned vacant land. Who's kind of,
I think
we're all set with that?
we're set with that. Just for the public, we pulled deeds on all land owned by the town of Rhinebeck so we can see what the restrictions are and what we own. And we'll take that under consideration for nothing other than our own information.
And thanks for doing the research on that.
Sure.
Very much.
Actually, thank Donna in the assessor's office. Thank you, Donna.
Rec committee update. Was that?
That we've discussed it already.
Okay, all right. Dog park update.
I asked to put that on just because I had 3 people in the past 2 weeks ask me what was going on. And if you have a quick update, people are excited to
My
get their dogs
backyard is a
out.
dog park right now.
Is
if you
it?
want an
Well, so
update.
should I bring Buddy over this week?
Why not?
Does Winter need some company?
The quick update is,
Moving along.
yeah, it's now the intermunicipal agreement. Once we get over that hurdle, most of the fencing has been donated, or we have it. We have to get posts someplace. The Paul Piestro, who's driving it from Red Hook's planning a fundraiser.
Great.
Um,
You'll let us know and we can all attend.
Well, I don't know if we'll all attend. Some of us have cats too, and the cats get a little annoyed when you take the dog every place.
You know, it's an understanding you have to come to within the family.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea when, are we looking at this summer, do you think?
Red Hook has to pass a similar,
They're pretty quick to pass things though, I think, right?
You think maybe, are we thinking maybe this summer it'll be open?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still have that fencing in my backyard, Bruce, that you can have if you need it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, is that it? Okay, all right. County grants update.
We had a workshop on, gosh, it seems like a year ago. When was it, on Friday? And after our workshop, I was able to connect with Owen Rafter, who's administrating the grants. For everyone's information, Tom, we can apply for as many as we like.
Oh, really?
We just have to, rate them in terms of which is most important to us.
Good.
In terms of the software for building planning and zoning, he suggests that we work with the group, and Joe and I have a meeting. Bruce, you're welcome to attend, but I was trying to save you. We have to notice the public if you'd like to come. we get his recommendation, Joe, as to whether or not the group wants to buy hardware to go along with the software. We can put it in that way, at least the portion of computers that would be for building, planning, zoning, and any other computers that would liaise with it, plus our server. This is something we can discuss on Tuesday. That's a possibility. If not, he gave me Plan B, which is to put our town tech initiative in under the capital improvements and increased efficiency workflow portion of it. And I will get the whoever helps us to do that, write it up for me as a backup. And I don't remember if I talked to you guys, but what I'd like to do is have this done off state contract so that we can work with our current people to do it. Owen just said to make sure that state contract applied to computers, and I'm checking that out now. I believe it does. He thought that it had changed drastically in the past couple of months not to include it, but I think it still does. So that's it.
Good. County grants deadline is in June, I think, right?
June 27th and 28th, there's a paper and electronic due. So paper is due before the electronic, so we should shoot to have this done mid-June, like June 15th. It'll be awarded, there's a
September.
a Community Development Advisory Committee. They will be able to announce an award sometime in September, hopefully.
Good.
But June, we need to have it done early, let's say early June.
Yeah.
Because we know how deadlines go, moratoriums.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, well, one other thing. I think I was talking about a meeting 10:30 on Thursday with the benefits person to talk about the medical in connection with the union
Yeah.
contract. And Bruce, you were going to let us know whether you could make 10:30 on Thursday? You can?
Right now I can, yeah.
Okay, so 10:30 on...
Joe, I'm sorry, when was the meeting with,
Brad,
no,
That's it, yeah.
Will?
tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay, it's in my calendar, good. And then when's the other, did you need us all for the other meeting?
Yeah, 10:30 on Thursday, the 11th, and,
Okay.
Is that something you need us all for?
pardon me?
You need us all there for, or no?
Well, I think we're going to talk about medical benefits and what
We
we're
should,
going to
so we need to notice the
offer,
we
I
need to
think.
notice the public for both
Yeah, I
meetings.
think, John, if you can notice that,
10:30 a.m. on April 11th.
yes.
For a health insurance information meeting.
And it's, again, executive session.
Okay, and we also
What was the
have,
other one?
4 o'clock tomorrow, that's too late to notice, though.
no, it's not.
Not, okay.
No, it's 10 o'clock,
10:30 on...
10:30 on the Thursday, the 11th. I'm sorry.
And 4 o'clock tomorrow, just in case.
4:30,
4.
4 o'clock tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow I'm not going to be able to make
It's already
that.
been noticed.
And that's,
I don't think we need everybody for that. That's just really, he's going to assess our equipment as to whether his software will run on it in
and then I have questions to ask him per my discussion with
other towns.
Mr. Rafter, yeah, proceeding with that. Great. We don't have an executive session, correct?
No,
No,
Is he going to have paperwork for us on the 11th, as we had in the past, spreadsheets and so on for different options? Or is that something,
I'm not sure.
all right, I'll drop that, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, I'm
You
not
and I.
sure.
Okay. All right, good. All right, so no executive session, so anything further? Anybody from the public want to make a comment? Anybody? Okay, motion and second to adjourn?
A motion?
second?
All in favor, aye?
Aye, thank you.
So moved.
Thank you.